me.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wait.
Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Welcome to Higher Ed Pulse, your no-fluff guide to artificial intelligence in higher ed. I'm Mallory Willsea, bringing nearly 20 years of edtech and marketing expertise straight to your earbuds. Higher ed leaders are expected to master AI overnight, but let's be real, no one has time to sift through every headline, hot take, or research report. That's why every Monday I'll break down what actually matters, fast, clear, and to the point. Want to sound like the smartest person in the room at your next team meeting? You're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Enrollify's Hall of Fame series, where we highlight leaders whose insights ripple across multiple shows on our network. I'm your host, Mallory Willsea. Today, we're featuring Sarah Russell, Vice President of Marketing at Education Dynamics. Sarah has spent more than 16 years helping institutions navigate digital disruption, from SEO and paid search to full funnel enrollment strategies. She's been at the front lines of the AI-driven marketing shift, translating seismic changes in Google, social, and media into actionable strategies for higher ed. Across her appearances on Higher Ed Pulse, EduData, and The Application, Sarah has challenged us to rethink visibility, measurement, and brand building in an AI-first search environment. Let's dive into the highlights.
The silos between these channels have to come down, period. And we've talked about that for years in this industry. How do we better integrate our SEO and our paid search or our paid social with our organic social? But this is the moment where it's no longer optional. And if you have a media team and an SEO team that never collaborate, they never strategize together, you're already behind. And I often see this in higher ed, not just between channel teams, but also with segments beneath an overarching organization. If you have a particular marketing budget or marketing team that is narrowly focused on an individual program or even a school of, that can become infinitely more challenging in this new era where we've got AI kind of optimizing this holistic performance of your brand and the student experience of your brand. So it's so important that campaign planning be a united effort. Your SEO team is going to have the richest data about what prospective students are looking for, what behaviors they're taking on your website, while your social media team is going to really understand community sentiment and values. And your paid media team has vast amounts of data on keywords and creatives and the elements that drive prospective students to take action. So all of those elements need to be woven together, and you need a continuous feedback loop across those channels as well as across your entire marketing ecosystem, whether that is as a holistic marketing team or with multiple segments underneath of that. Because the AI doesn't see paid or organic. It doesn't see College of Business, this program versus that program. It sees a prospective student with a question who is interested in your institution. So our teams really need to adopt that same holistic viewpoint and approach campaign planning, performance optimization, and media planning from that point of view.
What I love about Sarah is how she brings both urgency and clarity. She doesn't just say change is coming. She tells us exactly where to focus, from data foundations to brand guardrails.
So starting with that first question, brand marketing is really what I'm talking about when I say any activities that are building awareness of your brand, really defining or providing clarity around your brand identity, and driving for these prospective students not just to be aware of your brand, but to consider it as a viable option for them. And it's really important, and we've kind of seen a pendulum swing in all of marketing, not just higher education, but this pendulum swing toward greater emphasis on performance marketing, which is kind of the counterpart to brand marketing. Rather than trying to cast this broad net with performance marketing, you're focusing more on what's that direct action, directly attributable step that a prospective student or a consumer would take. But if you really focus too much there and you don't have enough emphasis on the brand marketing, I think you're really missing out on a lot of that higher funnel typical student journey pieces. And based on research that we've done here at Education Dynamics, we know that up to 90% of prospective students are not sure of what school they want to attend when they first start their education journey. They might have a couple of options, but they're pretty open. And this data point is really complemented by those search trends we just talked about, that we are seeing growth in brand demand too, yes, but it's outpaced by this non-brand demand. And I think that really emphasizes that prospective students are starting their journeys looking for these specific degrees or programs, and they want to find a school that resonates with them that offers those, not starting with the brand that resonates with them and then what programs do they offer. So I think it's really important in the larger student journey to understand all of the different touch points that prospective students have throughout this decision-making process. And it's absolutely not linear in any way. So these students will start and stop and double back and take a new approach. And it's really challenging for higher education institutions to understand how and when do you engage with prospective students throughout that nonlinear path. On my team, we talk about this as a messy middle of how these students are getting from point A to point B. And it can be really daunting to, no one has an unlimited marketing budget. So how do I make sure I'm getting in front of these students in a way that's still going to positively impact my bottom line? And that's where brand marketing really comes into play, where you're seeking to develop a really strong, recognizable presence that's going to resonate with prospective students, distinguish your institution from your competitors, and focus this brand marketing on consistent messaging and a strong visual identity and really strategic media placement that will highlight your school's unique identity and build this foundation that as they continue through this journey, through this messy middle, they have you as a touchstone to understand what is important to me and is this school going to fit with what I'm looking for.
Sarah reminds us that the funnel isn't linear anymore. Students zigzag, double back, and pause, which means your brand presence and performance channels have to work hand in hand. Now let's hear her on the application with Allison Tercio.
So for decades, our primary focus within search marketing has been securing a spot in that list of links. And success was really about ranking as highly as possible on as many keywords as possible, because the click-through rates in those top positions is what drove your website traffic. You probably lived and died by your top 20 keywords in terms of traffic. But today, the search results page is a very, very dynamic and conversational experience. And it's unique to every individual, so it's highly personalized. And with Google's AI overviews now providing these really direct and synthesized answers right at the top of the page, we've shifted from optimizing for this list of links to really optimizing for an interactive answer engine. And all of that means that zero-click search, where the user gets the answer directly in the search engine results page, they never really even leave Google or click through to your website, that's our new reality. And we have to completely rethink what website visibility and discoverability even means in that context. How do we effectively value and maximize the role your website plays in the student journey? Because it is still so important, but how you get it in front of prospective students is fundamentally different.
Yeah. On one hand, I often think that the website has never been more important because the students who actually make it are almost self-selecting, right? Like they might even have higher yields if they make it through the whole funnel. They're more likely to apply. They're more likely to engage because they really like you if they actually make it to the website, right? And they get beyond this sort of zero-click era. And so we have to be ready to be able to engage them, collect their information, be able to market to them maybe differently than before, because the students who are making it to the website are fundamentally different in this era. But what are some of the other things that we really need to take away and understand about our work in enrollment when it comes to this idea of search generative experience?
Yes, I think the most critical mindset shift for enrollment marketers is realizing that you are not just marketing to people. You also have to understand how to market to the AI.
We're marketing to artificial intelligence
Absolutely.
now.
We absolutely are. And especially with the conversation around agentic AI and how do you build your website, build your content to speak to AI agents. It's not the most warm and fuzzy feeling, but that does have to be part of your strategy, while not losing sight of the fact that you still do need to resonate with your prospective student as well. So really thinking about AI as the intermediary in how students are going to experience your brand. And that means when you're optimizing your website, your program page content, your admissions information, you really need to think about it and structure it so that the AI can easily find it and understand it, as well as your prospective students. Because like you said, once they do click through to your website, they are highly engaged. They've got a very specific intent. So hiding that information in a PDF that's 7 pages deep is not going to help either the student or the AI.
Sarah Russell shows us that in an AI-first world, the fundamentals still matter: data quality, brand trust, and human oversight. But she also challenges us to evolve our playbooks, measure success differently, and think about visibility not as rankings, but as influence in the AI ecosystem. That's why Sarah's insights continue to resonate across higher ed. Thanks for tuning in to this Hall of Fame edition, and stay with us for more highlights from the leaders who are rewriting the rules of higher ed marketing. Thanks for listening to the Higher Ed Pulse. The show is a proud member of the Enrollify Network, home to Higher Ed's largest collection of podcasts. Enrollify is where higher ed goes to grow. So be sure to check out our other podcasts, webinars, video clips, blogs, and more. Visit enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and content drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com.